in another vision that I had, I saw that in 2050 we'll have shortage of food. And this is the part that I've been dwelling it for a while. I don't know where exactly, but seems like it's gonna be a global event. I think Earth is changing. Well, it's out there. If you actually pay attention, you see that Earth is changing. Well, thank you for having me here on your show and you to your audience. My name is Joseph.Banks, and in 2011, I had incident that I came to call a near-death experience. I became unconscious inside of an airplane fuel tank, and after that, a lot of stuff started to happen, and it's been an adventure so far. So it happened in 2011, spring of 2011 in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. I was working on what we call MRO. It's a hangar that does maintenance for heavy maintenance for airlines, and I was inside of a fuel tank. And to get inside of a confined space that we go through a lot of training. And this training tells you, well, first a lot of stuff about safety, um, all that, you know, all those hours of watching videos of confined space come to tell you, don't be that guy that dies inside of a confined space and everybody else follows, trying to save you, and they end up dying as well because it's a very hazardous environment. Um, and I think there was something wrong with my respirator, and I know I had a moment that I actually caught myself feeling something different, and it's funny because now I think it's my experience, so I can say it's funny or not, but I said to myself, I feel funny, and I collapsed, you know. The feeling was if my body was made of sand and something soft, and I just like dissolved, and then blackness. But there was a moment where this kind of a voice spoke to me and challenged me, hey, you know that thing? You're that guy now. What are you gonna do now? Because I didn't want to be that guy. And I was like angry at myself. Like, no, you don't want to be that guy. And I forced myself to wake up, which I did. And then almost immediately collapsed again. And there was someone watching me from outside the tank, but since it's hard position, such an awkward environment, he thought I was taking a break, kind of resting a little bit of that awkward position, but I was out really. Uh, and then the voice came back and again challenging me really playfully. Yeah, you're still that guy. What are you gonna do now? And I know, no, I don't want to be that guy. And I forced myself to wake up again. And this time was like I had to work on this one because I knew I was in danger now. Um, and from that slither of consciousness that I had, I woke up, got out of the tank on my own, and I was shaking and all, and I told the guys I'm not going back inside. And but I was still feeling weird. But that was the end of the day, at work, and I went home. And then I went to bed, and I was still feeling kind of heavy inside. I thinking like I'm just tired. I just need to go to sleep. And which I did. I went to bed, but I woke up pretty much a day later. And because someone told me to come back. And this is where the adventure starts. I showed up in this place in a van, kind of a bus, and I looked around and I don't know how I got here, really. And I was fully conscious, and I knew I had gone to bed not long before that. I don't know how I got here. And the van or bus stopped, and everyone kind of walked out. Uh, Not many people, really, a handful of people. And I walked out too. And as soon as I stepped out of that bus, I saw this place that was absolutely fantastic. And I looked around and wow, this is really different. But I recognized this building. It's a theater in my hometown and looked like it. And I said to myself, well, this is not completely strange. So I decided to walk into that building. And as soon as I walked into that building and I looked up, there was no roof, there was no ceiling, just this beautiful tree canopy, and it was a bright sunny day. And my mind was trying to understand what I was seeing, and this is different. And as I looked down, I saw my deceased great aunt, and she had passed away in 2006, so I knew that was something more than me just showing up in a weird place. And I saw her. That was the moment that everything kind of clicked, and I said to myself, I think I died. A light that was so soothing, and there was music in the air. You could almost touch it if you wanted something vegetable to you. And then I saw this beautiful tree in the distance, a mango, and I grew up eating that stuff from the tree, so I decided to go there and just get one. Well, that was the only one actually in the tree. And just before I was just about to climb that tree, and I decided, well, eh, let's just wait till it falls. Mangoes do fall on that right. And then I just sat there. I kind of gauged when the mango would fall, and I waited. And I waited for a long time. I saw people coming and going, and the light never changed. And but I knew, at time in a way didn't matter. And then I saw this man, um, someone that I hadn't noticed before, and he was smiling and he was looking at me. And I smiled back and acknowledged he's smiling. Hey, yeah, I see you. And again, a long time went by, and he was still there looking at me. And that after a while, I decided he knows something, so I'm gonna go there and ask him a question. So I got up, I looked at the mango, and I said, "Stay right there. I'll be right back." And I went there to talk to this guy, and I asked him, "Hey, can I stay here?" And still smiling, he said to me, "You gotta go back now." And I know that that's the moment where people kind of, no, let's talk about it. I want to stay in this place. I belong here. And I felt like I belonged there. Um, but there was something in the way that he said to me, and something in the way that he looked at me, that said to me, it's okay. It's okay to go. Mm, Nothing, you're not missing anything. That was the impression that came through his eyes. It's okay. And I kind of kept that mantra throughout my experience later in life. And I said to him, okay, I'll go back now. And then he reached with his hand and touched my chest. And that was the moment that I woke up. I felt this electricity. I woke up. there was a jolt of energy, really. It was kind of 20 hours later. You know, I was in a desperate mode, not knowing what was happening anymore, kind of lost in time, how long I've been out, what day it is, what year. I was completely lost. But one thing that I never said to anybody yet was that when I went to the bathroom, my urine was black, and I had never seen that before. And someone made a comment a while ago. Oh, you just slept and you had a dream. It's like, yeah, but you never die in your dreams, really. You never die in your sleep. When I saw that black urine, I kind of researched it, and it's when the muscles they start to die. You know, there's a death process that sets in, necrosis sets in, and then stuff starts to break apart. And like wow, I was really out. And in that moment that he touched me, that was my heart beating again. But again, I was by myself. There was nobody with me, and that was the most difficult part, actually, not having anybody to help you out. And that was the moment that everything started for me. It wasn't long after that I had the first real episode of sleep paralysis. I woke up and it was 2 weeks later after this experience, and I woke up and I felt a presence in the room. And I turned because it was behind me. And I turned to see what it was, and I saw these dark, for the lack of better description, these dark figures standing at the foot of the bed and looking at me. So that happens after a while. Uh, First, I had to go through a lot of. I think lessons is a good. It's a good description, but it's not quite it. In order to have these jumps in time and see things, beyond our time, beyond our even my comprehension, I'll have to get a hold of my emotions and basically tell myself, that thing that I learned in the very first day, it's okay. It's okay to it's okay, and then blank, um, because the lessons come in different ways and in different order. And then by paying attention and remembering, I was able to piece some of this stuff together and see the big picture that was unfolding before me. I had to learn about myself, and I had to learn about the connection between us, everything, and a deeper connection with between everything that surrounds us, and a force that is so great that is beyond even description. So when I finally not fully understand, but I had a, let's say, working knowledge of how to travel between these worlds, I was able to see things. Um, and it became kind of biblical. I was having experiences where when I was researching what I had seen, it was a Bible thing. And things that I have never view, really. I never read that part. Not dressed, I'm naked, and wow, this is really happening. And I looked around and I didn't recognize the place. And then I saw a building, looked like a shopping mall, and a large street, and they all kind of looked the same for me. Different downtowns have a different outlook, but they have a kind of the same structure. It was just before the dawn, and I saw no reason to be there, so I kind of took off flying just because it's fun. And out in the sky, I saw the mountain range in the distance. It was a beautiful place, and the sun was rising. And I looked down, and I saw this tree line. And on the top of one of the trees, there was this nest. And there in the nest, I kind of hover around and I saw this eagle, a seagull, and two baby eagles. Something funny that I thought to this seagull is like, well, you might want to leave. Eagles, they like to eat other birds. But that was not the case there. And in the horizon, I saw this green dot flying, and it was an airplane, and it flew over my head, supersonic. And I decided to chase it just for fun. And now I turn, I heard this siren coming from the town that I had just flown away from, and there was just this fire coming and destroying everything. And okay, I since I'm not afraid because I worked those emotions way before the fire's coming, I know nothing's gonna happen to me, really. And I asked her, when did this happen? And here comes debris and stuff flying, and this piece of paper hits me in my leg, and I pick it up, and September 15th, 2046, and then the fire just bloof, hits me, and everything is gone. It took me a while to find that place, and I ended up discovering, like all these communications happen in a very symbolic way, and there was no queues on the downtown area really, but the nest was the important thing. The eagle is a symbol for this country, America, United States of America, and I did not know this, but the seagull is a state bird for Utah. It was something that happened in 1846. Even the year is kind of important. It's almost exactly 200 years later. So in 1846, something happened in Utah, where they chose the seagull as a state bird to celebrate this event. It has to do with food. And in another vision that I had, I saw that in 2050 we'll have shortage of food. And this is the part that I've been dwelling it for a while. I don't know where exactly, but seems like it's gonna be a global event. Um, this week, he was watching something on the news. It was in Norway. The glaciers are melting, and the scientist was talking about that we're going back in time. The ice is revealing a bunch of stuff that has been buried for centuries, if not thousands of years. And like, wow. And that struck a chord in me, and we're going back. Again, one of these visions has to do with dreams. And this amazing thing that is in the Bible and became a kind of a broadly show in many different countries is about Joseph and the Technicolor coat. So there was a dreamer in the Bible, and he was able to tell people about their dreams and the meaning of their dreams. And one of them, the Pharaoh has a dream, and uh, he asked his wise men to, what's the meaning of this dream? And no one could actually tell the dream. And then Joseph is in prison, and his old master comes, and I know someone that knows about dreams. And then the Pharaoh calls Joseph, and Joseph tells the meaning of that dream. And it had to do with food. So they had 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of nothing. Something happened with the earth, and there was no more good crops, and everything was just bad. Well, basically because of the value of dreams back in the day in Egypt, they were able to go by without much strife. The thing is, seems like dreams are not important anymore. Uh, but in a way, they still are. It's just because everything is so predictable by technology. And I think Earth is changing. Well, it's out there. If you actually pay attention, you see that Earth is changing, and we might have this thing that is unprecedented. I mean, scale wise, because the world 2,000 years ago was so small by comparison. Today we have this global community that we can talk to each other. From the States, from Vietnam, from everywhere in the world, we can talk and be heard. This is again unprecedented, and I think we might have to use this connection to help each other more, to share more, to be less greedy, to be less blank for you to fill up that void. All these corporations that take so much. You know, if you want to survive the next future, be more involved in the community. Um, so, and this was one of the things I came after. The whole thing was 2046, and there is something about me in 2047, and then the shortage of food in 2050. And then but these were things that were not, they were not the same day, the same night, or even the same year. They came in different situations, completely different. But I pay attention and I remember. And then when I put all these pieces together, now I saw this picture. So it came after the 2046 uh, dream. I was kind of disturbed because it was disturbing, to see destruction in your land. I know there is lots of conflict. I saw that happening in Utah. And I was like, wow, do we have to suffer this much? And what else is there? You showed me, they might show me something nice. And then I jumped again. I showed up in this place, and it was beautiful. I don't know what it is, really, because there was absolutely no landmarks that I recognize. Um, but I saw peace, and I saw a place almost completely different. And then I asked someone, I don't know if they were living or dreaming or dead, because sometimes those things don't make sense to me. And I asked this lady, what day is it today? And she, Tuesday. And I, what year? And she replied, 2189. Oh, thank you. And 2189. I looked around, but I was so. This is another thing. In order to see these things, you gotta keep your heart calm, so as if nothing can bother you at all. But at that moment, I got excited, but not terribly excited. So I would spoil this experience, and I saw these beautiful place, really modern, and I didn't know what it looked really. I had to just look at something and then try to memorize it. And I saw this computer that someone was wearing, and it's something that you wear on your body, maybe kind of like a jacket, and it does everything. And they are pretty much all the same. I think we reached a point where, like, yeah, this is super ultra powerful, and there's no need for anything else anymore. And if you pick a color, and it's blue, green. I like blue with green, so I would wear the blue one. And there was no way for me to understand that. What kind of interface, how do we use it? I don't know. I know it's something that you wear. And people dressed in silver as well. All sorts of, all walks of life. Um, Silver outfits. And that was, when I woke up, I thought, well, maybe it will be so warm that we need something, keep away the heat or something. But it might be a computer, actually. Recently took a trip to Rome, and I walked around Rome and the old empire and the things that came from Rome, roads, sanitation, and other things. And I realized that Rome is everywhere. If you actually pay attention around, you see that there is a little bit of that culture everywhere in the world. I know people um, talk about, oh, this country is going to fall. It's a possibility. The possibility that the United States, the culture spreads all over the world is also real. That, you know, be kinder to a neighbor. There's some things about American culture that, strike me as a bit imperialistic in a way, which I don't really appreciate. But there's something beautiful about it. Openness and kindness, and some very important attributes to a culture. And I think it's spreading everywhere already. We're becoming more and more like each other, equals because of technology. Yeah, the way it is now is not set in stone. Things are always bound to change. I always recite my mantra there. It's okay. It's okay to change. And I know some people resist, that's normal. But in the end, things change. Time moves everything. So what are you waiting about? But so many different things. I think the most important gift from an NDE, from my NDE, I know it happens to a lot of people. Um, Nothing is, forever. Um, but it's a good thing. The experiences come and go, and um, living our lives is one of the most spiritual things one can do for themselves. So I saw myself dying many times. First as a fish in deep water, and I came out of the water, and I was crawling, and then as a monkey jumping from branch to branch in the jungle, and then human beings, many of those, as a child that was trapped in one of the pyramids in Egypt, a warrior in Mongolia. They call me Golden. Um, Somewhere very poor. Men, men of power, men of completely destitute of everything. But there was this time. That was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I was having in a dream, reading this book that I wrote, thinking how much I had changed since I wrote those words, and how some of them they will be forever true. And then the dream started to fade, and things were just like, okay, I know I'm gonna wake up any second now. But right before I woke up, this name was floating before my eyes, and I looked at it. It was J.S.Banks. And oh, this is important. Remember, because my memory was great. It still is. But some things I just had to remember. And I remembered that name, and then boom, woke up. And I immediately researched that name. And then I found it. I found the book, and I found the author. His name was J.Shaw.Banks, and he wrote many books. And he was a college professor in England, and also Christian missionary in India. I think that's why I like being a yogi so much. And in the dream, I couldn't remember what I read in the words. I couldn't remember the words, but I remember how they flowed in the paper. The vibration and the music to your mind, to your eyes. And when I bought my first book and I read it, and this is it. This is the flow. This is the book that I wrote. And I think I said it before. In the dream, it didn't caught my attention, but the first word, the first page was like a fancy letter. And when I opened that book, it was a fancy letter, just like that in my dream. and I kind of had this side confirmation that, yeah, this is my book. And in 2016, I changed my name, my legal name. So I had a name before, and after all these experiences, I changed my being, my identity as a living entity on this planet now. And right before I reached this decision in my life, I was having breakfast with a roommate in Lake Stephen, Washington, trying to decide if was to do it or not, because it's a life-changing event, and you don't do it because you had a dream. I had this memory coming back when I was like 2 or 3 years old. Someone was teaching me to write, and they helped me to write my name. And I looked down, even at that young age, and I saw those words scribbled on a piece of paper. And I looked down and I said, "This is not my name." And that was a memory that helped me to decide to change my name. And in 2016, I became J.Shaw.Banks. There is a book in the works, and hopefully, in a couple of years, I'll be able to share some cool stories about it. Well, thank you for having me here in this beautiful show. Thank you for listening to my words. I know it takes time to do that, and I really appreciate your attention and care. Again, my name is J.Shaw.Banks, and to reach me, I would like to hear from you if you care to say hello. My email is joseph at piadomo, piadomu.org, piadomo.org, and let's connect when you have a chance. Thank you.